All right, welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. George Wright III here with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education on your Monday morning. Today I want to talk to you about taking responsibility in your life. That's actually our prosperity pillar number 2. I take personal responsibility. Now this is a huge one, and I know it's difficult for a lot of people. Tony Robbins said it's in your moments of decision that you shape your destiny. And another way to put it is that it's in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. So it's a real big difference here between creating your life, which was our first prosperity pillar, number 1, and taking responsibility for your life. They're very, very different, but they're very, very important. And there's a huge difference because keep in mind, taking responsibility is something that you can proactively do. It's very empowering. You can be very proactive in your life, but maybe not taking responsibility for your life. Because taking responsibility is not just a success principle, it's also a very empowering concept if you think about it. Creating your life is a proactive thing that we all want to be able to do, and we want to all feel that we have that perspective. But taking responsibility for your life and knowing that your life is where it is right now because of your thoughts, your actions, that's really going above and beyond. So I want you to focus on let me put it a different way. Stop focusing on problems and start focusing on solutions. It's not about where you've gotten in your life. It's not about beating yourself up for getting to a certain point because you're taking responsibility. It's where you can go. And being empowered by taking responsibility for your life is going to lead you to have more control over the circumstances in your life. So when you focus on greater solutions for the circumstances that you have in your life, you're going to also see more happiness. I mean, think about it for a minute. If you believe that you're responsible for your life, then you can believe that you can create the life that you want to create. And so those two pillars, those two prosperity principles really go hand in hand. So let's talk today about taking responsibility. Now, I believe it's important for you to be able to both decide to do this, but also make a commitment to be responsible for the situations in your life. You can begin today to make a decision. I will take personal responsibility for my life, my actions, and my circumstances. But I also want you to go a step further and make the commitment to be responsible for your life. A lot of us, we make those initial decisions, but we don't stay committed. And making the decision today is only as good as your long-term commitment to doing it. And I promise you that great leaders are all ones that take responsibility not only for their actions, but also for their life in general and where they end up. They don't blame it on others. They don't take a victim mentality. And you'll definitely become more empowered when you make this commitment to live it inside your life. Now, the funny thing is, things will happen when you take responsibility for your life. I say funny, but they're going to start to be expected when you do this. Things like your lens and your perception on your life will start to change. You'll view situations differently. You'll view situations with more optimism. You're going to view them through a different lens that allows you to recognize the lessons and the solutions. And you'll be able to move forward rather than dwell on the past and on the problem itself. You'll ultimately create solutions, and the circumstances in your life will start to turn out differently. A principle that Stephen Covey talks about with his principles of successful people is that if you take a minute before reacting to a certain stimulus that happens in your life, that split second is going to be the difference between being an average person and a successful person. Take a minute, be proactive, and learn to take responsibility and control of your life. So let's talk about ways that you can be responsible in your life. Well, number 1, you can become responsible by being objective. Take a neutral perspective when situations come up in your life. Maybe this situation that's happening to you right now isn't going to hurt you. Maybe it's for your benefit. And maybe there's a totally different outcome that can happen than what your mind initially goes to, because our mind sort of imagines the worst, right? And like Wayne Dyer says, when you step back and you look at the tapestry of your life with a bigger, broader perspective, a lot of times those things weren't as bad as we thought, and they actually helped us to become more challenging, disciplined, and strong human beings. Also, another way you can be responsible and take responsibility is to tell yourself in any situation, I take responsibility. I'm the one that's responsible for this. Say it out loud. By simply making that statement, making that powerful intention, you're creating a more powerful life. You're creating a life that empowers you to be in control. Keep in mind, your intentions are very powerful. I believe they're more powerful than you believe they are. And I also believe that you can give yourself a little bit more credit. Sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit. We like to just fall back on that victim mentality of things happen to me. And we don't give ourselves credit for just being responsible. And, it's a mentor of mine, Ed Milet, who once said, you need to give yourself more credit for your intentions, not just your actions or your results in your life. A lot of us judge ourselves really harshly. We judge our lives, we judge our jobs, our success, and our actions when we don't give ourselves credit for having the intention of taking personal responsibility, and that can be just as powerful. So these are things that I want you to be able to do in your life. I want you to be able to be not only proactive with creating your life, like we talked about last week, but also taking responsibility for your life. Make that initial decision, but be committed. Make the commitment to live this principle in your life. Change your perception, and you'll start to see some powerful things happen in your life. So before I let you go, I want to give you today a strategy that you can sort of implement in your life. I want you to think about or identify a situation that you've been struggling with. Something that you feel like's kind of happened to you in life. Maybe it's at work, maybe it's at home, maybe it's a relationship issue. That it's just not going your way. Maybe you're not seeing the result that you want, and you've seen some failures or some setbacks. I want you to identify that situation. Just find one. And I want you to think about how you can take responsibility and decide that you're going to take responsibility for whatever is happening right now. And by taking responsibility, start to focus on solutions. I think you'll be surprised what will start to happen for you when you shift your perspective. I think solutions will present themselves. I think you'll feel more empowered and more happy. And just identify this situation today and take responsibility for it. And exercise your choice to be responsible. You do have greatness inside of you. You're not the only one dealing and struggling with things, but you are the one. You are the one that's going to take responsibility and shift your life. Shift it to a place that you want it to be, and stop being reactive and being a victim in your life. I believe it's never too late to start living the life that you were meant to live. So let's continue on this path together. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more tomorrow, but for now, that's my message. I hope you use this and apply it in your life this week. And I also want to recommend that you check out the show notes. We've got some things in there as well, and hit like and subscribe on this podcast. But what I'd like to ask you to do for me is just share this podcast. Share it in your story, tag me, tag the Daily Mastermind on Facebook or Instagram so I can see what it is you're struggling with, and I can give you some feedback. I'd love to see who's actually sharing this podcast and who isn't. I'm committed to helping you. I'd like you to be committed to helping me share the message. That's my message for today. Once again, this has been the Daily Mastermind. My name is George Wright III. I'm your host, and I'll see you again tomorrow.